How's it going, YouTube? It's Ghost here, and welcome back to another settings video. Season 2 is about to begin, so I figured I should make a video on 18 settings you should start changing to improve in Cold War for League play and pubs for Season 2. I've done a similar video for Warzone, so link in the description if you want to go check it out. Now keep in mind, I'm going to be talking about settings that by default are different than I recommend, so yeah, let's get right into it. Alright, first off we have stick sensitivity. Now by default both of these are set to 4, which isn't the slowest but it's definitely not the fastest. I recommend having your sensitivity between 5 to 8 since it's at a pretty good speed to turn on people, react more quickly, and also being able to track your opponent better while hip firing. Now I know there are some players that can play at high sensitivity or max and are good at it. This is just what most pro players are using mainly, and since you want to be on point 10 times out of 10. Now I will recommend, unless you're in a high sensitivity, to keep your horizontal and vertical sensitivity the same, and the reason for it is just easy muscle memory. When turning in any direction, it will be the same amount of turning in another direction that you're doing, the same amount of push. Now onto ADS sensitivity. Now if you don't fully understand how the measurements work, it's very simple. These two are just a multiplication of whatever your X and Y sensitivity are, which are these two. Now for example, if you play on an 8X and Y sensitivity and have a 0.8 ADS sensitivity, just multiply it and you get 6.4 as your ADS sensitivity. Simple. Now this is good for players that want to play on a high sensitivity but want a good ADS sensitivity to keep track of players at either longer range or even at short range to keep up with strafes. Now keep in mind, you can also keep the same ADS sensitivity you had before if you happen to switch your X and Y sensitivity recently. Now I know everyone hates math, but I'll put an easy formula in the description in case someone happens to need it. Now to button layout and triggers. Now I've talked about this before, how this is mainly used for those players who are struggling with slide canceling or jump shotting, multitasking while trying to aim. And like before, if you don't happen to play claw or on a controller with paddles and just play on a standard layout but want to get better, I recommend you start using stick and move or even bumper jumper, as well as bumper jumper tactical, since they can provide easy access to jump shot without taking your thumb off the right joystick, or even tactical so you can slide cancel way easier than before. Now there are many more layouts, but I find that these are the easiest to get used to. Now as for triggers, it's personal preference as well, and while some pro players use this setting, not all do. But I would at least ask that you try it out, since the bumpers actually have a faster reactivation time than the trigger, since it's more of a press for the bumper and a hold down for the triggers themselves. But again, it's all personal preference and you can get used to it.
Shown to improve accuracy and alertness.
Now aim response curve type. Like before, if you don't know what this is, then here's an example of each. It's when you push your joystick to the max that you can see the difference. But I will say though, I do think dynamic is meta in this game, just like it was in Modern Warfare and Warzone. Now controller vibration, pretty simple to why you should turn it off. It's only good for feeling immersive. Besides that, there's no purpose to it, especially when you're trying to improve at the game. Next we have target aim assist. While this game does provide us with a lot of different types, just like Modern Warfare, I will say you have to stick to standard for those that aren't on it. Now the reason for it is because with most of the other ones, it actually makes it harder to use aim assist. Some will make you have a smaller aim assist box when you ADS at someone, but it comes with the trade of no aim assist tracking when hip firing, which I don't think it's a good trade at all. Standard keeps the balance in both cases, so don't be fooled by it. Airborne and ground mantle behavior. We'll keep them both together, but let's talk about airborne first. For airborne mantle behavior, you should probably change it to manual, since you don't want to accidentally climb over stuff when you don't mean to. This can happen when you're trying to jump shot or just jumping in general, when you're trying to peek over something. Now as for ground mantle behavior, I have this on press instead of on second press just due to preference, but both are really good, especially on second press. It just takes some time getting used to, but it's great in the long run since it gives you more control. Now here we have thresholds. Really this is just dead zone, but I don't know why it's not named like that. Anyways though, you want to make sure your controller doesn't have any stick drift, where if you lightly tap on your joystick to any direction, it starts moving by itself. It can lead to some sloppy aim or unnecessary movement because of it. So just increase it till you don't see any more drifting in game of some sort. Auto sprint, where you just have to push your joystick forward to sprint while pressing it down first. It's great having this on as it saves your controller a lot since you won't be clicking on your left joystick as much, and can save you time in game where you can constantly slide cancel way more easier since you don't have to do as many steps. But be warned, you won't be able to stand up if you're crouch or prone in game unless you click on your crouch button or your jump button. Now lastly, for the controller segment, we have prioritize reload. For sure, a way better setting than the Modern Warfare's contextual tab. You don't want to accidentally pick up a weapon or interact with something when you're trying to reload. It's extremely helpful in that sense, but easy to get the hang of. Now onto graphics, we have colorblind modes. Now what's different about Cold War's colorblind mode is the fact that you can change the color of your enemies, teammates, party group, and yourself. Now mainly we're going to be focusing on the enemy colors. Personally, I recommend changing it to a brighter and more noticeable color like yellow or so, which can help you react faster when noticing that color rather than the red itself. Now this will change the color of their health bars above their head when you aim directly at them or when you have a flashlight on, as well as in the kill feed and minimap. This is great since sometimes it can be hard spotting people in this game even with the red on their names. So I will personally recommend trying it out and seeing what works for you. Now FOB, or field of view, for those that don't know what it stands for. Now you for sure should have already started messing with this setting or should start changing it. By default it's at 80, which you can barely see much of your surroundings. Now the more you increase your FOB, the more range you can see around you and the easier it is to spot enemies. But it will also make your crosshair a bit smaller as you go up, so I would recommend putting your FOB between 90 to 110. Anything higher than that will hurt your gameplay if you aren't on PC or if you aren't as accurate with a small crosshair. Now right under that we have ADS, field of view. Now if you aren't sure what this does, it basically makes it so if you are playing on a different FOB, then by default it'll stay the same even when you ADS. Now if you have it on independent, it'll make it so when you ADS it'll go back to an 80 FOB or a really low FOB, zooming in a lot. So make sure you keep it on affected so it stays consistent even when you change FOB sizes. Motion blur, that's gotta go, man. Just like controller vibration, it's only good for the aesthetic side of it, and it provides not a single advantage of having it on. Plus, when you have it off, it makes it easier spotting players as you're turning quickly, since it won't look like everything's blending in together. Now lastly we have audio. By that I mean all the sound settings here with the bars. Now this is based on your headset, so making sure that it doesn't sound too loud where you can't understand it, but also not too low where you can't hear shots, callouts, or footsteps. That's where you want to be. Now I will say you should definitely lower music and dialogue, at least by some, especially music since it doesn't contribute to the gameplay. Now under all of the sound bars we have audio presets. Just like in other CODs, I will still recommend leaning towards high boost or even Treyarch mix. But again, it's also based on your headset still, so try out each one and see which one works best for you. And finally we have voice chat. Now whether it's for calling out or talking to your friends, make sure it's not buzzing or isn't too low or too loud. There's also a threshold for your microphone where you'll need to speak at a certain volume so you don't have any unnecessary background noise going through the mic. Alright, but that's gonna wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed, then drop a like so I know that you did, and consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any more videos like this, such as improving that Cold War in Warzone, best class or loadouts. And I'm thinking of making a sensitivity video, so let me know in the comments if you want to see it for this game or Warzone or both. But yeah, I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.